Hello, y'all, and welcome to another episode of Soul Care Spotlight, where I share wellness events, virtual and in person, to help you throughout your busy life. Today, I am so excited because I will be chatting with Toosdhi from January Yoga and talking about her Sounds of Self Care event, which is a monthly sound healing experience hosted at Movement Matters Collective. Can't wait to introduce you to her and this incredible event. I've been able to attend several times, and I just always leave so refreshed. For those who know, you know that I love sound baths, love sound healing, and I'm just excited to introduce another sound healer to you all because, yeah, we need options, and I want you all to be able to experience all this amazing light and healing that goes into it. So, without further ado, welcome, Toosdhi. How's it going?
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing good, thank you. So, to start, to say you are the founder of January Yoga, correct?
Correct.
Yes. I was gonna say,
Founder, owner, creator, sole employee of
yeah,
January Yoga.
nice. And I'm curious, what is like the meaning behind your name of January Yoga?
So, when I decided to start a yoga wellness business, I went through a couple of names in my mind I didn't share with anyone. And I was just trying to figure out like what type of name should it be that represents me and what I do that's easy to remember. I settled on January Yoga because January is my birth month. Shout out to me. Happy birthday to me here in January.
Birthday.
And January is the beginning of the Gregorian calendar, at least, and it's the beginning of the year. And many people, when January rolls around, it's a fresh start. In their mind, they are ready to let go of things that no longer serve them, and they're trying to pick up and start anew and take on new things that better support them in their lives. So, yoga is actually an activity that people tend to make New Year's resolutions
Mhm.
around and tend to think to themselves, I need to make a change. I need to start taking some yoga classes, right? So the idea of January at the beginning of the Gregorian calendar and yoga really representing a fresh start for a lot of people, it just made sense. And like I said, I'm born in January, so January is personal to me. It wasn't just this abstract thing that I thought would just sound good and catch people's ear. It really means something to me. I get a fresh start every year in January, not necessarily because of the traditional calendar, but because it's a new lap around the sun for me each January. So it has a personal meaning to me. And I thought it was something that would make sense and resonate with people when they saw the name.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I've been curious for a bit. I do feel like that even without knowing the story, it does a good job of alluding to that because that was kind of my thoughts of around, some of it around January. But I'm glad to get that additional background that it's your birthday month and just the rest like that. Oh, so good. Okay, cool. So today I want to talk to you about one of your services in series, Sounds of Self Care, which you host at Movement Matters Collective. Shout out to Latoya. And I have had the pleasure of attending several of these sessions. They're so lovely. And I would love for you to chat a little bit about, like, in your words, like, what is Sounds of Self Care? And then let's go into like how it like even got started, like what inspired you to create this monthly series.
Sounds of Self Care is a monthly sound healing event that happens on the second Sundays of the month at Movement Matters Collective. So, the second Sundays of each month at 3:30 p.m. And the purpose of it is to provide a space where people can truly relax. That hour or so, people have no responsibilities. There is no doing, there is no thinking, there are no happenings. They are just being. And I like doing those types of events because we live in a world that does not encourage us to stop and slow down and be reflective. Our culture is very much about get more of this, do that, get here, acquire this. We don't receive a lot of public messages that tell us take a beat, take a rest, sit down, be quiet, listen to your breath, allow your mind to quiet, let your body relax. And I am fortunate enough to be the type of person that doesn't need an external message for that. When I don't want to do, I don't do. I have no difficulty pressing a pause button and creating space between myself and the rest of the world to take care of me. Not everyone can do that. So many of us need permission to do it, or we need to be told to take care of ourselves. And so I wanted to make sure that when people got the message or when they felt internally, oh, I need to do something for myself, or a friend says, bro or sis, you need to slow down, and here's a space where we can go do it. I wanted to be able to provide that space. I am honored to naturally be possessed with a gift to hold space for people and know that I can create an environment and a container where people will feel held and supported and that they can relax and let go of everything. This series came about because of some conversations that Latoya and I were having. I was connected with Latoya maybe almost 2 years ago through a mutual contact, and honestly, I cold called Latoya to figure out what she was doing at Movement Matters Collective. I was like, "There's this black woman with a Pilates studio, and she does yoga." I'm like, "Wait, I need to know her. We need to know each other." And so I got her information and sent her an email, and we set up a call, and I learned more about what she was doing, and she learned more about what I was doing, and I started going to Pilates classes there, and we would just talk more and more about the things that I was interested in providing and the things that she wanted to see happen in the space. And then from there, in a really great way, it just snowballed and tumbled downhill. We started with, I think the first thing we did was an intentional New Year's Eve, where we had early New Year's Eve, a little bit of yin yoga and some sound healing to bring in early New Year's Eve. So, 6 to 9 p.m. and then we're done because mature folks, such as myself, at this big old age, I can't be out in the streets that late at night. So, I can't remember the last time I've seen midnight on the clock. So, creating that safe space where people could just really hang out and reflect on the year in a place with friends and good food and fellowship is where I started with her. And we were just always had this open conversation. She was just like, "Well, what do you want to do here? Like, just let me know if you think of anything. If you think of anything, just let me know." And so a few times last year, we did a sound healing event on Sundays. I think maybe we did one once a quarter. And as I was thinking about what I wanted to do in 2025 for January yoga and become more consistent in my offerings, I talked with Latoya, and we both mutually agreed, okay, we need to get something on calendar regularly. Like, we need to know what we're doing for next year, not have an event, do something, and then circle back in a few weeks and say, oh, okay, well, what are we doing next? Because that's kind of where we were. So in November or December of last year, we said, okay, well, we'll start with this first quarter of the year and see how it goes. And we agreed on second Sunday, and that's how it came about. And I like it. I enjoy being there in the space and doing it. And I hope it starts to reach more folks and people know that there is a regular space to come to for rest and reflection.
I love that. And um so many great things. First, like I too am glad that you possess that gift of internally knowing when to stop and when to rest. I was literally just having this conversation with someone earlier. Like, I was like, on one end, I'm like, there's still a lot of room of improvement for me when it comes to rest, but on the other end, I've like I've come so far, because I definitely was that person that's just like, rest, like, what are you talking about? Like, go, like, just really a go 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 person. And I found myself like surrounded by people who are like that, where they can just like, well, it's I need to get my body a break, and they just do it. And I was just like, in a maze of them. But like, being around people like that and having that modeled, right, is just so beneficial. And also, like I said, having that space open up to you, where, and that consistency. of like, oh, I know I can like go here at this time. Same thing, I have some guests that I want to bring to your session. And so that's helpful for me of knowing like, okay, it's every second Sunday a month because they have busy schedules and things going on, but we can like plan ahead of time and have them experience. I didn't go to the first New Year's Eve experience, but I was at this last mindful New Year's Eve experience. And y'all, hopefully it will be another year of this because it was just such a great way to enter the year, y'all. Like I felt so like just peaceful and hopeful, and I loved that we got to reflect a bit as well on that. I mean, my husband, he shared, and he normally like the quiet one in the room, and so it was just such a, again, just such a wonderful space that allows people to tap into themselves as well as just connect more with others. One of the things that I love about this event and the events that I've been featuring is this theme of community. I talked about like I changed this. This used to be called Self Care Spotlight, and I changed it to Soul Care Spotlight. One, because I just feel like I still love and believe in self care, but I feel like the term has become just not even overused, but just the way people use it isn't always mindful, and it can start to have kind of materialistic kind of view. And also, I think when people think of self care too, a lot of times they start thinking of isolation. They don't think about that community care and how that also is so beneficial when it comes to filling your cup. And so that's one of the reasons that I made that shift, because and even in my own self, in my own wellness journey, I'm learning, I'm like, wow, there is so much power in community and in that collective healing. Even when you think like, oh, I need to isolate, it's like, no, when you're talking things out with people, or you're just, even if you're just around someone and you're seeing them being touched as much as you realize that, oh, I'm not alone in this, and that there are other people who enjoy this or are going through this or whatever that is. And as humans, we need to connect. And in this world where we're doing so much more online, and even then it's like sometimes we aren't truly connecting, especially if it's like social media. Like, yeah, we may comment on someone's post and do that, but that's not the same as like us coming together in an experience, or even better to me, coming together in person and being able to have those connections there. So really excited about that. So glad that you all have decided to make this an ongoing series. And going back to, like I said, I'm excited to be able to bring some guests. And these guests I'm going to bring, I'm excited specifically, like, again, I love sound baths. I've gone to so many different experiences, but I'm really excited to bring them to your session with Sounds of Self-Care, because one of the things about you that I noticed is that not only do you guide us through the sound bath itself, but you also guide us a little bit through the process. Like, you talk to us about the frequency that you're going to be doing and why, and the attention. And like, I just love that about, like, I always learn something new from you whenever I attend one of these sessions. And so I'm curious, like, is that something that you like intentionally did? Is that like more of a personality of like kind of structure of that? Or what was the thought process, if there was a thought process, of the way that you kind of organize and flow your sound healing experience?
All of what you mentioned is part of it. I am a very organized person, and I also am not big on surprises. I like to know what I'm getting into and what is going on. And in my classes, when I've taught yin yoga classes, which is a mat based class, it's just very slow, and sound healing, I started doing this in a yoga studio that didn't have sound healing classes on their schedule. I brought it in. I was already teaching there. And as I developed as a sound healer and started to enjoy it more, I wanted to share it more. But I was taking it into a space that didn't already have it. So I always asked at the beginning of class, I'm like, is this anyone's first experience with yin yoga or yoga nidra or sound healing? And people would raise their hands. And so I would always say, okay, let's do some education first. And I would explain the set of bowls that I have, the instruments that I have, and let folks know what they should expect, have an idea of how they should feel. Especially if, like say you want to invite some guests, and you trust your friend's like, okay, if it's good, if it says it's good, you'll show up, right? But still, you get in the room and you might be thinking, I'm not sure. And so there's always a couple of people who are in the room who are kind of looking around with that look on their face, like, what did I get into? What are those bowls? What's a gong? Like, what's gonna happen here? And I can just read that on folks' face. They're just unsure. So I always ask and I always do some education. And I do my best to reassure people that there won't be anything negative. At the very least, you leave feeling neutral and everything's the same for you. And that's okay. You won't be any worse for it. But I also let people know not only about the instruments, but things they may experience or feel during the session. Things can come up for folks, weird memories that they didn't even know were buried in their minds may come up. And so I feel that for people to get the most out of the experience, they need to go into it knowing that it could be very new. They may have some thoughts or feelings or things that are very brand new to them. And creating that space of openness, I think, helps develop a level of comfort and for people to just expect the unexpected, to let go of what they think it's supposed to be. And it's very important, especially to let them know that this is not a performative exercise. There's not something that they need to do. There is nothing to be accomplished at all. There's no goal to be set. There's nothing to achieve. I always tell folks when they come into a sound healing class, and they're like, oh, they raise their hand, they let me know this is their first time there. I always congratulate them and tell them you've won. You did it. You're in the room. That's it. You have accomplished everything you need for this day and for this time that we're together. You made a point to come here. You accepted your friend's invitation, or you took a risk and you clicked on a link to try something new. Done and done. 1,000%, 10 A pluses for you. You are in the room, and I will take care of the rest.
I love that. I love that approach, and I love hearing how that came to be, and that makes so much sense. And I love that thoughtfulness that you have because yeah, I remember even though it was great, my first sound bath experience, I had a friend. They were going through the train, and I had no idea what was going on. But luckily, it was my friend, so I was just like, okay. I was like, they're just like, sit down, and I was like, okay, sure. And they said it's gonna be relaxing. I don't know. I'm just a very adventurous person, so it worked. It worked on me. But I've been hooked ever since. But I know not everyone, especially like you said, it can be very just so new to people. I'm okay. I'm curious to you, like, because sometimes I'll be explaining like sound baths and sound healing to people. How in a couple sentences, someone's like, they're brand new and they're like, what is sound baths? What is sound healing? What would you say to them?
Sound healing provides an opportunity for your mind and your body to truly take a rest. The bowls that I use are tuned to 432 megahertz, which is similar to the resonance of the earth. And since we're made of about 60 to 70% water, that resonance dials right into our water molecules in our body, which tends to be why people feel relaxed so quickly when they start to hear the sounds. And I know when I first started going to sound baths, um, ha- just dropping in is what we call it, right? And it just happens so quickly, and being able to understand some of the science behind why that happens, like why when you hear the bowls, when your body hears the bowls, like how responsive your body is to the bowls and how you just relax. Yeah, that's it. That's the main thing I want people to understand is the bowls are actually coming for you. Like they're they are the design of them, the way they sound. It's for us. It really is for us, which is why I think our bodies respond to it so positively.
I love that. I can't wait. I've been hinting at a new series that I want to bring into life.
Mm.
The why behind the wellness, and I would love to have you back for that and talk more of like the nerdy, the science behind
Mhm.
this because I have just personally felt the effects. But I love
Mhm.
hearing, in plain language of like why this stuff works, and I feel like it's similar to like music, right? Like it
Yeah.
helps the change. I'm really like it's very similar. So like I love that. Can't wait to invite you back if you wish to do that. That will be awesome. You just have a wonderful way of breaking things down and making things super digestible. I'm curious. Speaking well. first of all, like they're so true. Like you really, guys, you really don't have to do nothing in a sound bath. If anything, make sure you have your blanket. Make sure you have a little pillow. I be knocked out, y'all. Like I be going. I mean, it's like I'm asleep, but I'm not. But it's just. It's just like the best. Like it's too bad I can't just like roll. I need to have like a private session so then I can just be like, all right, bye, and just roll into bed because it is just I always sleep so good. Right
Well,
after.
that's coming. That's actually coming. I haven't nailed down what times or days that I'll be offering. I used to have that experience. There was a yoga studio that offered like a yin and sound healing class virtually, and that's what I would do. It was like I think it was like at 8 o'clock at night. I
Ooh.
would turn it on and get in the bed, and the instructor always structured it so we don't. She didn't really like close the class, so she wouldn't disturb people. And I mean, I might wake up like an hour or two after the session ended or something like that. So I want to bring that experience to folks as well. I just have to figure out the timing of it because, like many people who discover what really floats their boat and sings to their heart. This came to me later in life, like in my mid 40s. So I still work a traditional Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 job, and I'm managing to grow January yoga around that. And that's one of the things that I want to do because not everyone could come out of the house in the evening, like, especially if you have family duties at home. That bedtime routine is probably really important to you, especially if you have children or really little kids at home. That bedtime routine is it's critical, right? Like you don't want to mess them up, you don't want to get them off track. But after you've done all of those duties and taken care of everyone else, who takes care of you at the end of the night to make sure you have a restful sleep? So somewhere I said during the second quarter I was really going to start nailing down and trying to figure out how I could fit that into my life so I can offer that. So y'all stay tuned. At some point, there is going to be an online, a Zoom sound healing from me somewhere so that at least maybe once a week you can say, okay, I know on this night, if I just turn on this computer and log in at 8:15 or 8:30 or whatever, I can get these sounds and be set up for a good night's rest.
Yes, I love that. I cannot wait to for that to come into fruition. I can't wait to share that, and that allows, like you said, just so much flexibility as well as people who are. I share a lot of events here in San Diego because that's where I'm local to. But I love when I can be able to expose people to things that they can, experience for wherever. Because I'm originally from the Midwest, and one of the reasons I even got into this wellness space and wanted to share these different things is that I know from like just growing up in the places I live, like this, we're in California, like a lot of these things are just a lot more mainstream and normal here versus like back home. I don't think if I had just, I don't know if I, at what point I would have even like heard about sound baths and sound healing. So I love to be able to have these opportunities where I can like share it with people so they can see for themselves, like, okay, this is a good fit for me to help me, and again, just pour into ourselves because especially like as women, like I said, we tend to take care of everyone, whether that we're a mom, a wife, just in general, we tend to put so much out into other people and sometimes just forget to like pour it back into ourselves. So the more easier it is to do that, like the better. So I love that. That's going to be super great. I'm curious, would you be open to um, giving us a little taste of the bowls for people who maybe haven't experienced?
Sure, sure. All right.
Mm, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's get you back into yes. I appreciate you sharing that, and it's so beautiful. Like it almost looks like you're dancing a little bit. Most of my eyes are closed, so I don't know what you look like as you're doing it. But yeah, it's a beautiful practice. All right. Well, so right now, if you are interested in attending one of these events, Sounds of Self Care, as you were saying, are going to be hosted every second Sunday of the month. Really hope to see you all there. Where is the best place for them to learn more about like how to sign up? Should they be on an email list? Should they be following you all on Instagram? Like, what's the best way for them to like stay in the loop about the series?
I would say make sure you follow Movement Matters Collective and January Yoga on Instagram. And also sign up for the newsletter for Movement Matters Collective because all of her newsletter is comprehensive for everything that she's doing, Latoya is doing at Movement Matters, and she always sends out an announcement.
And just so people know, that is at January_yoga if you're looking
Yes,
for it on
thank you for
Instagram.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I have you head out, I am curious because I run 2 Geek Marketing and I love amplifying introverted and camera shy women in wellness. And I know that you identify as being introverted yourself, and I'm curious as someone who is an introverted business owner and you're doing these in-person events, you're giving out that energy and literally through the sound healing as well as that extra energy that like us having that smaller social battery. What do you do to really like prepare yourself? Like how do you approach um, these events when you're going to be giving out this energy? And how do you like? What are some ways that you like to pour back into yourself?
So there are a couple of ways. So one for the first quarter of this year for 2025, I was planning for it in late October, November. And by the end of November, I had made all my decisions about the amount of work I was going to do through March 31st of 2025. And that was that. And I said out loud to people, if anyone asks me for anything that happens before March 31st of 2025, the answer is no. That's it. The calendar is set. I'm not taking on any more things. And every month in my calendar, there's a weekend that January yoga just gets put in the back of the closet. I don't take any bookings. I'm not subbing a yoga class anywhere. I'm not showing up to a networking event, nothing. So, for example, for the month of January, for me, that weekend was the Martin Luther King holiday weekend. And I went camping. I was out in nature, just out there with a friend of mine, and that was that. And so I'm very intentional about booking out my calendar. Also, as things come up, if I already have an event where I have to do some space holding during the like in the morning, I might go take a yoga class for myself just to make sure that I've put me first. I've taken care of me. I'll take a yoga class at 8 or 8:30 on a Saturday or a Sunday morning just to make sure I'm right. And and a few days before, I find that find myself thinking a lot about what is coming up for me. And without even realizing I'm doing it, it's not conscious. It's just all of a sudden, I start to spend a little bit more mental energy on preparing and knowing what I'm headed into and making sure I'm clear on my ability to hold the space and enter the space properly, making sure that I arrive on time. Like anyone who works with me, they are never going to be standing around wondering if I'm going to make it or if I'm going to be there on time for them to start the event on time. For a number of reasons. One, it's not professional. Two, it does not feel good for me to be in a rush. It does not feel good for the people that I'm going to serve for me to be in a rush. What I'm doing when I'm expending that energy and looking after and caring for other people, I can't do that if I'm all frazzled and I've been running around all day. So my mom has a favorite saying. She's always said, "Oh, my favorite word is no." But it's not so much that it's my favorite word. I just have to be really realistic. I know me. I've been living with me for a few decades now, and I have gotten to know her real well. And I I know when I get into a space where I just start to feel like, man, I do not need to be here. I should have stayed at the house. This is not good. So I just tend to really check in with myself. And one thing that really helps me do that is I never want anyone to have a negative experience with me. That is so important to me, to ensure that when someone walks away from an event or a session with me, they feel a little bit better than they did when they came in. And in order for me to offer that experience to folks, I always have to make sure that I am settled and centered first. So even in the moment when I'm putting myself first, I'm also taking care of you all. So that 3:30 session on Sunday, when you're in there with me for an hour, I've already started taking care of you at 8 o'clock that morning when I started preparing myself to be in that space. When I was taking care of me, I was taking care of you as well.
I love that. I love that intention, and it definitely shows and comes through the experience that you provide. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you sharing how you approach having these events. I know it can be nerve wracking sometimes for people who identify as being introverted in that space of whether it is their energy levels and are just being like shy. But there are ways to prepare yourself. There are ways to really, get yourself out there because there's people who need you and who need what you have to offer. And so it's good to find ways that, we're still staying true to ourselves, but also, getting out of our comfort zone a little bit, or being able to figure out how you can show up in the best way so you can be a light to others. So thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me and share about the Sounds of Self Care event. I'll be leaving details in the description so that way you all can learn how to like sign up for the email list, as well as follow January Yoga and Movement Matters Collective on Instagram so you can make sure you're staying up to date of these events and any other additional pop-up events like that mindful New Year's Eve event that they tend to host, so that way you can just be just in the know of that and experience this for yourself. And we'll definitely gonna want to do like a shout out to when those virtual sessions come up, because yes, I sign me up. Cannot wait. But again, thank you so much for joining us for Soul Care Spotlight. And for those of you who are joining, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you can learn more about wellness events that is meant to fuel you in your busy life. Until next time, y'all. See ya.